Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Beautifully Broken podcast. I'm here with David and Margie Slinger. Um, Now, you guys are here in short because you're delivering next level modalities to people who really, really need it. And before we get into the way that you found your way into the field of energetics and EMF protection, I want to take people to your story, the way in. And it begins with a little bit of a horror story. So if you can just drop us in right there.
Do you want me to tell the story?
Yeah, you
Okay, I'll tell the story. So we were living in Kenya. We were living in a beautiful place called Shimoni, which is Swahili for the place of the caves, because it had an extensive cave system. But it had a very dark history in that it was a slave port for the Arab slave trade. And they used to put these poor souls in these caves, lock them in there without food and water for a week and see whether they survived. And the ones that survived, they gave food and water, fed up, and they took them out to the markets at Zanzibar. The ones that didn't survive, they buried on the plot of land which we built a house on, which we didn't know when we started building the house. But anybody that knows anything about energy will know that having a lot of dead bodies on your plot is a good way to, and would associated with all that misery and anguish, is a good way to anchor some dark energy to your space. So we actually dug up one or two of these bodies when we were digging the well for our water supply. But we had no choice. We were financially committed, so we carried on to building our house. But living in the house, we had some rather interesting experiences. And Margie was getting night terrors. Anybody that's had any encounter with night terrors will know that it's a pretty frightening experience. She was going from fast asleep to waking up and screaming her head off. And of course, me lying next to her thought, somebody come in to murder us. So I'm in fight or flight mode, fast asleep to fight or flight mode. So that was quite disturbing. And we both experienced what I would loosely describe as some form of psychic attack, the presence of some malevolent energies. That's probably the best way to put it. Yeah, it wasn't very nice for a while, and we were smart enough to realize it was down to some disturbed energy. We had an internet connection, so I started Googling solutions for disturbed energy, and I came across this stuff called orgonite, which is a derivative of Wilhelm Reich's work. Wilhelm Reich was an Austrian-American scientist who came up with a way to manipulate energy, and he actually had some success healing people of advanced stages of cancer and even changing the weather. So he was the founder of this technology, but it'd been sort of got into the popular narrative as in this form of orgonite, which was like funky looking paperweights, really, made from metal and metal shavings and resin. And this purportedly healed disturbed energy. So we went to one of the local gift shops in the town and got some crystals, which is an integral part of the stuff. We went to a machine shop and got a bag full of metal shavings, and we got some boat resin, which we were actually using to repair our boat. So we put all these things together, made some devices. We put them in the water supply, we put them in the ground around the house, and everything changed pretty much overnight. That you could, we weren't aware of it because we had no contrast, but the whole energy just lightened. So it was just like a feeling of like clouds parting, and everything got lighter. The night terrors stopped, and the psychic attacks stopped, or the malevolent energies stopped. And it was amazing. So with that experience behind us, we decided, life took us on to New Zealand, and it was the big question was when we got here is like, how are we going to make a living? I mean, we were running a tourist business, taking people out to swim with dolphins in Kenya, but we weren't about to continue that here in New Zealand. So that one of the ideas in my head certainly was that this technology was amazing, and why not try and get it out there? So that was the seed of our business. So we got busy we came up with our own variation of design, and we had a shed, and that became our workshop, and we were making these funky looking paperweights, and selling them to, we used to go to like the sort of New Age or the healing fairs up and down New Zealand. We were new immigrants, so it was a great way to get to know the country, and we were selling lots of them, and we've started to get some pretty amazing feedback. And one of the things that they do, we didn't really understand the connection between how this technology was protecting against electromagnetic fields. So we're kind of coming at it backwards. We had this amazing technology, and it's like then we were finding out what it could do. We knew some of it. We knew obviously that it worked against night terrors, and we still have a lot of people that we've been able to help with. That often we get people buy our products for night terrors, and we get almost a 100% success rate with those. But we were learning what else it could do, and one of the things that the feedback that we were getting was that people were sleeping a lot better. And of course, now it's fairly obvious that people are not sleeping because they're basically fried by electromagnetic fields. So it's going to put the body into like a fight or flight mode because it feels like it's constantly under attack. In fact, there's a New Zealand doctor. He's passed now, but he's one of the few people that have found a scientific causal relationship between electromagnetic fields and insomnia and illness, in that our bodies cannot tell the difference between electromagnetic fields and light. And the pineal gland registers darkness, registers nighttime as a time to get busy, start making melatonin, which of course is crucial for the healing cycle of the body and allowing us to sleep. Of course, the pineal gland cannot tell the difference between EMF and light. So if there's a source of EMF nearby, it thinks the lights are still on and thinks it can just kick back and not do its job and make the melatonin. So people aren't sleeping, and also they're not getting that repair cycle with the melatonin. So that was part of our learning journey. We were getting feedback from people. We were basically selling that one time as a solution for insomnia, and for most people it will work, because that's what's keeping a lot of people awake. Most people are being unknowingly kept awake by all this electromagnetic stuff around them.
Yeah, it's really interesting to consider just for a moment, the natural frequencies of the earth, and you're really looking at, I think it's between 0 and 30 hertz. And you're getting some fluctuations when you do get a lightning strike, I think up towards 10,000. But if you're thinking about living in a home, and I always look over, I use the example of my Wi-Fi, and I think of, it says 2.4 on the box, that's 2.4 gigahertz that I'm sleeping in. And how does my body, which is an electrical being first before it's a chemical being, how does my body make sense of that? Well, it really doesn't.
Yeah. That's it. I mean, we're all guinea pigs in a grand experiment, because nobody's done any long-term studies on this stuff, and they just keep ramping it up. They just introduce another frequency, and they introduce more and more amplitude by more and more towers around us, more and more devices, more and more toys. Nobody's done any long-term research. We are the guinea pigs, and the sensitive ones of us are falling over. They're being the first ones to fall over. But even the ones that are not so sensitive, they're starting to fall over now. And we're rolling from 4G into 5G, and that is intense stuff.
You can see some pictures that are coming out already in some of the cities in the States where they're rolling it out, and you can see the trees next to these 5G towers that are just wilting and dying, and you can get an idea or an image of what that's going to be like when people start to experience that. I mean, if you look at the rise of autoimmune conditions across the states, it's really an exponential number, and it's growing and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think people have got to think about that as a component.
Well, I think people are starting to wake up to that idea, and I think 5G is so intense that that it will wake a lot of people up. People are living with the technology we've got now, and they've perhaps been on a computer for all day, and they're starting to feel a bit irritable, maybe got a bit of a headache. But I think that's just maybe they've been working too hard. But of course, there's the classic symptoms of EMF exposure. But this 5G is so intense. They started doing some rollouts in Melbourne, and we've got a long-standing customer there, and they were quite close to one of the towers, and it got really intense, and they called in an electrician. And the electrician, this guy was obviously used to working around electrical currents all his life. He ran away in half an hour and said, "I can't stand to be in this house any longer." That's how intense it was. So even the ones that are less sensitive are going to start to feel this stuff, particularly when they appear on virtually every lamppost. That's the only way that stuff is going to work. It's going to have an awful lot of transmitters. So
yeah, it's very interesting watching this roll out over the country, and to think about what that means. I know we used to send canaries down in a coal mine with the miners, and when the canary died, it was time for everybody to run because you've got this little bird who's going to be very sensitive to those gases. And I, having gone through myself cancer and Lyme disease, a few other fun things like some toxic mold, I am that sensitive individual. And, preparing for this podcast, actually, so I've done like 16 episodes recorded. And of course, one thing I want to make sure of is that I've got great internet. So I went out and not really thinking before I purchased, but I bought like the mega of all Wi-Fi routers, and I plugged this in. And when I say, and I'm not kidding, my teeth got numb. My front teeth would go completely numb in the front of my face. And there must be some radio receptor right in here in the frontal lobe. But it was really like, oh my goodness. And I quickly, of course, unplugged, and then I've since hardwired everything in the house. And I mean, I can tell the difference. It's really night and day.
Yeah. So I hope people are listening to this and saying, well, this is what it's doing for Freddie. I might not be able to feel it, but then what is it doing to me? Freddie can feel it in his teeth. That's how bad this stuff is. People that sleep in rooms with their Wi-Fi on, and then they wonder why they get sick or they can't sleep.
Or their cell phones under their pillow.
Under the pillow, yeah.
But I think people have got now so that they think it's the norm. If they're not feeling great, they think it's the norm. If they've got teeth ache, they think there's something wrong with their teeth. They're not looking at what the root cause of it is. And of course, we're fed, aren't we, the latest technology and people. I mean, we were in a cafe a couple of days ago, and I just was looking at, we were in a mall. It was horrendous. The Wi-Fi, when you kind of look on your phone, the number of Wi-Fis that you're being hit with.
Yeah, you got 20 different options for networks on your phone.
Yeah. But every single person in that cafe, and they were like couples, and they weren't all on their own. were on their cell phones. Every single person. And we have just dropped into it. And you talk to people that are aware, or you think they're aware, and they'll say, oh yeah, well, I can't do without my Wi-Fi. And you say, well, do you switch it off at night? Oh no, can't do that because of the kids. And people are just accepting it as the norm and we get a lot of it, obviously, every day. We get phone calls and emails, people that have got to the stage where they just can't live a normal life anymore. So they're just desperate. But I mean, this is just increasing. I mean, in the 15 years that we've been doing it.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. I mean, in the early days, we weren't really so much about EMF as healing and well-being. And now it is just more or less EMF and then well-being and healing, isn't it?
Yeah. People are definitely starting to wake up, but it's almost too late. I mean, but yes.
Yeah, I know. I had that thought. I was wake. Where do I move? Well, again, I'm not a half mile outside of New York City. I look out over the city, and if I pull up on my phone to look for a Bluetooth signal, I get like 50 options.
Yeah.
It really doesn't, of course the dose decides the poison. So I can decide how much is coming from inside my home, but really a greater part of my day, I've got to look for outside of the box solutions, because I understand where this is a part of that healing paradigm, and I've got to mitigate this EMF. I want to go back to your guys, your efforts into this discovery of moving this negative energy, and how that turned into some of the devices and some of the pendants that you sell on your website. And I happen to have mine on right now. I'm gonna just throw that in the camera. It's beautiful. It's the New Me pendant. Yep. It's absolutely my favorite piece of jewelry. And I tell people what it does, and then I take it off, and I said, I want you to put this in your hands for 5 minutes. Not gonna say what it does. And nobody wants to let it go. They go, can I really just hold this for another minute? I feel loved. And I said, I think there's a reason behind why you feel loved, but I want you guys to explain a little bit of the science about the New Beat pendant.
Okay. Well, the science is the same for all our devices, and it's really very, very, very simple. You've got two main components working together. You've got one which is moving energy, which is a derivative of Wilhelm Reis' work, who I've already mentioned. He called this energy that he was manipulating, he called it orgone. Now, to me, orgone is what I would call life energy, what your scientists might call 0-point energy, and as previously called the ether. If you spoke to a Chinese person, they would call it qi. If you spoke to a Japanese person, they would call it ki, and Indians prana, and so on. It's the basic soup of life that we're all, or water of life that we as fish are all swimming in. It's everywhere. It's what we're made of. But Reich discovered that if you take layers of metal and organic material and sandwich them up, multiple layers, you get something going on where the metal will attract the life energy, or the orgone as he called it, and it would release it to the organic component. And then the next layer of metal would attract it, and then it would release it. So you've got a track release, track release, track release. So that's acting to pull energy from one place to another. Now, if you introduce a coil into that equation, what happens then is life energy will always follow a curly path if you present it. So it will spin around the coil and create a vortex. And that allows something quite small to be able to move a large amount of energy and have a large effect. So moving energy that's the one component. And the other components people have understood for thousands and thousands of years, that crystals will balance up energy which is out of balance, which is out of whack. So if you combine the two, you've got this device that's presenting this crystal with massive amounts of energy, and it's processing masses of that energy, taking the chaotic component, which is basically is the problem for us, is this stuff that represents chaos, to what should be an ordered energetic system that is our bodies. So it takes that chaotic energy and it brings it back to a state of balance, and it's doing it very, very dynamically. So if you hang a piece of jewelry around your neck, which is doing that, what it's doing is, it's because anything that moves energy, any form of energy, you take it from one place to another, you create a field. So you're moving a massive amount of energy, so it's creating quite a significant field, an energy field which is going out and above your own energy field. And that field is controlled by that crystal. So disturbed energy that's coming into that field gets harmonized. So by the time it hits your body, it's no longer stressing you out. The sting has been taken out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But over and above that, because we are energy, we are an energetic system, and because it's balancing energy, it's processing our own energy and bring us into a state of balance. So one of the most common feedbacks that we get is that apart from the relief from EMF exposures, that people feel a lot calmer and a lot more centered, which makes complete sense. If we understand that we're basically an energetic system, you introduce an energy balancer into an energetic system whose problems all result from chaotic energy, then you can start to see some of the potential, and you can see that why it's been like a learning curve for us to get to understand exactly what it can do.
Yes, no, you're speaking my language, and I love you guys have a few sentences on the end of your website. You say, "We make no claims other than that we have proof that they work. If people differ in their opinion, we respect that. We will not defend our corner, but rather give a full refund." I mean, that's it for me. I mean, I think that just speaks to the your faith behind what you're making. And when I had mine, within 5 minutes, I'd called my friend Mario Campanaro in LA, who you were aware of.
Yeah.
And I said, "This thing's awesome." And he said, "I know, man." He's like, "It just gives you that little bit of lift. And when I take it off, I definitely feel it. So it's not going anywhere away from my body." And I just, I really, really enjoy it. But I want to talk about some of the other cool things you guys have on your site, some cool products. But then just so people know that you guys have done some really, really great testing on these pendants as far as a scientific background, and you've really done your work. You did a poly contrast interference test. You did a gas discharge visualization. You did an electroscanning method, and then an electro-internal scanning method, and looked at chakra temperatures. And then another device you looked at was the SCIO, which is a biofeedback device, and you took a rating on that. So we could speak to a one or two of those if you like.
I could talk about them collectively. They're all biofeedback technologies. The thing with electromagnetic fields is that there's two basic ways you can deal with it, and one is to block it, and you can block it with metal. If you put yourself in a metal cage, effectively your phone will stop working. You won't be able to listen to the radio, but you will also be protected from electromagnetic fields, particularly if that metal box is earthed. So that's one way, but it's not very practical.
It doesn't seem practical, does it?
It doesn't seem very practical. And the other way is the way that our technology does is to create like an interference or a harmonizing field. But the disadvantage of that in terms of testing is you can't test it with an electromagnetic meter. You can't, if I was to have a cell phone or hear whatever, I test it with a meter, our products are not going to change the result, because they don't affect the quantity. If they affected the quantity, then they would stop your cell phone working so well, or but they don't affect the quantity, they affect the quality, and the quality is chaotic to harmonized. That's what they're doing. So the way, the only really effective way that you can test that is through using the body as an intermediary, as using biofeedback. So all those tests that you talked about, they were done by basically stressing the body with a source of electromagnetics, whether it be a cell phone, or I think it's mostly a cell phone.
I think all tests that I saw were a cell phone.
Yeah. See what happens to the body. I mean, some of these instruments can visualize the body's electrical fields. See what happens when it's under stress, and then keep it under stress with having the same cell phone nearby, but then introduce the technology and see whether it mitigates that. And that's what they did. But one thing that people can do themselves is there's a very simple test. Maybe you want to share the link with your listeners. There's a very simple test that you can do that shows how instantly it will make you stronger. And it's a balance test. You need somebody basically to get behind you and unbalance you. And then you put on a pendant and you see how much stronger that makes you and how much easier you can resist that process. And it's very black and white. I mean, it's really mind blowing. It's like whether you're not relying on any technology which you don't really understand to tell you whether it's working or not. You absolutely know that. And it's doing that because it's protecting you from electromagnetic fields, it's centering you, but there's also a couple of other things this technology will do. You were talking about the Earth's natural frequency, or what is known as the Schumann frequency. Because it contains a crystal, the crystals are naturally plugged into that frequency. So even if it changes, it's plugged into that frequency, and that crystal is very dynamically energetically connected to your body, to your system. So you're locked into the Schumann frequency, which is very, very strengthening, because you live in a city, you've got all the Wi-Fi, whatever. You can't measure the Schumann frequency because it is drowned out. And if we isolate ourselves from this frequency, we will get sick. We are designed as animal, mineral, vegetable is designed to be in tune with the frequency of the Earth.
Yes.
So that's
electrics are a part of the healing paradigm always.
Yeah. So it's very strengthening, and it also, because it's expanding your energy field, it's also connecting you with the Earth. Because that's one thing that we do, is that we wear rubber shoes and walk around on concrete, and we've isolated ourselves from the Earth. But this makes a strong energetic connection with the Earth, which is also very strengthening. So it's even got applications, in things like sport. We've got golfers wearing pendants because it strengthens and stabilizes. And well, any sport, it's going to make you stronger and improve your performance. So that's a whole other market which we've never really gotten into, because we spend a lot of our energy trying to educate people about the problem of EMF.
Yeah, no, you definitely feel a sense of just being grounded. And that's always my advice to people I work with one-on-one, is to get outside, get barefoot, get in the dirt. And in some cities, it presents more of a challenge. It's never impossible, but in some cities it does present a challenge. And I think sometimes you've got to look for outside of the box means to find your grounding, to get a little connection with Mother Earth. This is certainly one way. Now, aside from the pendant, you guys have some other systems that are probably a little stronger. And do you think you could speak to some of those?
Okay. Well, definitely one of our biggest sellers is I don't know if you can see it there, our Pyramid
Yes.
Energy Balancer. Now, we've gone basically two ways with this technology. One is for the personal protection, like the pendant that you and I and Margie are wearing now. That is obviously very portable and keeps you protected and balanced where you go. But there's also things like the pyramid energy balancer, which puts out a much stronger field, and the approach there is to protect a space. So it's putting out a field in your workplace or over and above your workplace or your home, and then anybody in that field is getting that layer of protection. So it's just a different way to approach the problem. So quite often people will have one of these in their home, and then they'll still wear the pendants to, so that they're balanced as they go out and about. So
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very strong device. In fact, most people, if you put your hand over the top, you can feel the energy coming off it. There aren't too many people that can't feel that. So it's
sorry.
I'm very sensitive. I know. I want one of those too. I'm very sensitive to energy, and another thing that I've invested some time and training in is to do work with Reiki and moving life force energy when working one-on-one with a client. And it's amazing how the frequency changes over the throat chakra to the heart to the sacrum in different people. But when you start to tone that in and check in, it's almost like a superpower. And you can feel when these certain devices or these units, they have a field and they have a vibration to them.
Yeah. Okay.
Very, very interesting.
That's the plus side to being sensitive, is that you get all this extra information coming at you from, which the less sensitive people are unaware of. So everything balances out, I suppose.
Yes, it does. No, that's definitely benefits. The other one device that I saw on your website that I was very, very intrigued on, and we have not spoke about, but the QSB, which is a quantum scalar box. I wonder if you could just speak to that one a little bit.
Okay, I haven't actually got one here, but I can certainly talk about it. Yeah, this is not about EMF protection. This is, and it's not really about Reich's work. It's more to do with Nikola Tesla's work. Tesla didn't discover them, but he kind of rediscovered them and made popular something called scalar waves. Now, a scalar wave to me is just a vibration in the life energy field, or the zero point field. But you can create it using electricity, and special coils. So this works on the understanding that everything is energy. This is what the quantum scientists, quantum physicists are saying, is that basically you've got three things: energy, consciousness, and information. That information being frequencies. So if you come from that understanding, then what the logical approach for our issues is with energy, consciousness, and information. So, or specifically, energy and information. So what the QSB does is it takes an electrical signal and turns it into a scalar wave at that frequency, and then radiates those frequencies out into the room and into your energy field, or people sitting around it. Now that's a very powerful way to deliver energy and frequencies, but it's made more powerful in the frequencies that we're using. There's and I'm sure some of your listeners will have heard of these, the solfeggio frequencies.
Yes.
Solfeggio frequencies, the monks, Benedictine monks, used to chant in these frequencies with great healing effect. And each note has a particular strength in helping us to release our issues, so guilt and fear, and and being able to communicate and what have you. All those issues are tied in with these frequencies.
And the notes correspond with chakras up the body as well.
Exactly. Yes, they match frequency to chakra up through the body. So delivering those frequencies as sound is powerful. In fact, Pope Gregory, in his wisdom, thought it was too powerful for the masses, and he decided to bury it into the Vatican vaults. And they were actually rediscovered, found hidden within the Bible. That's almost another story. But they're having a renaissance. Musicians are retuning are using these frequencies and tuning their guitars and what have you, and it's powerful delivered as sound. But if you deliver those frequencies as scalar waves, then you get right to the core. At full power, and the core being our issues, our mental and our emotional issues, the baggage that we all carry around, and that basically stuffs us up and allows us to make all the bad decisions in our lives that take us down roads that perhaps we're better avoided. So my understanding about illness, and I'm not alone with this, is that that they're all rooted in these emotional and mental issues. It's like the dirt that the seeds of this stuff, these illnesses can grow in. So if you deliver these beneficial frequencies into the body, it can use those frequencies to shake this stuff off. And as you shake it off, then the potential for healing is quite profound. But in a simple day-to-day effects, it is very, very de-stressing, because it's effectively what these things are these issues are as stress held within our system. So another way you can look at it is you're getting a deep massage, but it's beyond a tissue massage. It's down into your energetic stuff, and then that stuff can be released. So it's a very, very de-stressing, and we're getting some amazing feedback and some amazing results. But I mean, there are about 300 out there so far. You mentioned
Wow.
You mentioned Mario. Mario's introduced one into his healing journey, and he's having some success with it. So we're looking forward to getting his feedback. But,
I work with a very similar technology in the amp coil, which is a PEMF device that works off a magnetic wave based off a modified Tesla coil, a toroidal wave, which covers the body. And on that magnetic wave are broadcast frequencies that go into the body. And very specifically, the unique thing about amp coil is that there's programmed journeys. So the frequencies are all programmed. So you've got a 33-minute journey that might charge up the immune system and flush some lymphatics, and then go after some disturbances, as we spoke about. The disturbances being whatever you want to call them, some microbes, metals, or things that are not harmonizing this beautiful symphony in the body. And I think there's an awakening, as we said in the emails the other day, there's an awakening in the world that there might be a better way to go at this bioterrain, this beautiful symphony, than just blasting it with antibiotics.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, we've got this mismatch now. We've got science, which is up with the quantum physics, and they're starting to use some of those principles to create, some beneficial devices. But we've got a medical system that's basically back in the Newtonian age, where everything is looked at as lumps of stuff interacting with other lumps of stuff. So with that model, you've only really basically got cut, poison, burn at your disposal. But if you start shifting towards a quantum understanding and looking at us as energetic systems, then it's all about energy and frequency, and those devices are starting to come online. They're still not mainstream, but they're there. They're being created. It's Tesla's technologies is coming back.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that is the way. The healing of the future is going to be all about physics. We're going to this. You can write this down as a prediction. We're going to be sorry, big pharma, but we're going to be stopping taking your poisons. And we're going to start looking at energy and frequencies to heal our bodies. And that is.
I love this. I love this quote that you gave. I picked it up somewhere online, and you said we can provide frequency or tools, but that healing happens from the cell on a cellular level from the information provided to the body.
Yeah, I mean, all diseases are incurable, and that means that they're curable from within. We are the healers. I mean, if anybody comes to you and says, "I can heal you," you can slap them on the face and send them away, because all they can do, anybody can ever do for anybody else, is provide tools and knowledge for people to help heal themselves. Ultimately, we are all our own healers, and that's something that we've lost. We've lost that power. We've been trained to give that power away to people like our doctors, who have ended up basically being lackeys for the pharmaceutical industry. So effectively, we've given our power away to an industry which benefits when we're sick, because that's their bottom line, is they're selling drugs to us when we're sick, and they're not selling drugs to us when we're well. So we've given our power away, and that's part of the process we're going through as a species, is to start taking that power back, realizing that we can heal ourselves, and that and that we can use technology to help that process.
But we came with the QSB from a different perspective, whereas with all our other products, we produced them and then learnt what they did. The QSB, which David humbly does not take much credit for, was 9 years in the production. No, not production, that's the wrong word. Development.
Yeah.
With lots and lots and lots of testing, and with that, you can actually physically test it with blood, which we've done. And it proves that after half an hour, it completely de-stresses the blood. So this has been for us another journey, really, a completely different journey, hasn't it? And completely diverse from our other products, which are also loosely doing a similar thing in that they're healing, but this is real healing. And we've had some amazing, haven't we, feedback and results, which is so heartwarming. It's just unbelievable, and it's what really carries us forward.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's what motivates it. But Margie talks about my humility, but I mean, that humility comes from a perspective of an understanding that what we're doing is much bigger than we are, and that effectively we are bringing it forth. We are conduits for it. But my feeling is this technology is absolutely needed here. And we, at some point, we must have put our hands up to be facilitators for that. So,
if you've ever watched a documentary on Tesla and Nikolai Tesla, and just seen the amount of information that he was downloading from some other area of the universe. Yeah. And, there was a time when he was celebrated, and then there was a time when he was very discriminated against because he was almost too much for people to connect with. There were so many degrees of his personality that were spinning out of control. It was almost too much information was coming through him at one time.
He was ahead of his time. And of course, that's...
unbelievably.
fortunately, enough of his work was recorded that it's still there, and it's now having its renaissance. But,
And it's beautiful that we're both working with it on different continents. I think that is so neat. And, to speak to technology, that we're having this conversation right now, and you're in New Zealand and I'm in New York. I think that's so amazing. You guys are the land of tomorrow. We're on a different day over there. And, I want to just this statement, I came up with this as well about this, just energy work. And in these very old provinces of China, for example, you would pay the doctor when you were well. And you didn't pay him when you got sick, because the doctor had failed to keep your energies in alignment, and therefore your physical body was in a healthy state. And so the doctor had to work very, very hard to get your energies back into harmony, so your body would follow the energies back into health.
Oh, do you think we could adopt that system? That would be a bit revolutionary.
I think we're both on that path, but I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here. I am so excited for people to hear this and reach out to you. Just remind everybody what your website is and where they're going to go.
Okay, so our website is www.lifeenergysolutions.com.
Beautiful. And I will, of course, link that, lifeenergysolutions.com. I'll link that in the show notes. Yeah. And we'll have a special link for you guys, for the Beautifully Broken audience, to grab whatever it is. We didn't talk about everything, but there's pendants, there's beautiful jewelry, there's snap bracelets for kids. Whenever I see a child acting out in a fit of rage, I always think, A, he needs the grains and sugar taken away, and B, he needs to mitigate from some of the EMF in his house. But I know there's somewhere that everybody can drop in and get a little taste of this technology in your life, see if it works for you. And I think we'll go from there. I think we're probably going to do another interview at some point. You guys are lovely, and you just fit right into this audience. So I thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Yeah. Thank you very much for having us on.
Freddie. Yeah, and fabulous meeting you.
A wonderful meeting you as well. Namaste.
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 All right.
Okay. Did that go okay?
Oh my God, you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. We got great stuff.
Okay.
We got the story in a way for people to take action, and they got some good education in there too. So I thought we did a clear linear shot through it.
That's great. Yeah, you did a great job. Yeah.
Thanks, man. I know sometimes these interviews, I listened to, obviously 10 years of podcasts before, and you can tell when people show up and they've done a little bit of a homework and they have an outline and it drives somewhere, and then you can tell when people are just like wandering all over the map. So I try to prep a little bit. Tomorrow I got Pete Evans in Australia. It's funny, everybody on the other side of the country randomly 1-2 shot, but I'm having really, really great people reach out, and we've only been live a month, and we just hit 5,000 downloads the other day. So it's really taken off. So I hope, I hope we get a bunch of people over there and get you some business going. And I love my pendant. I love the snap bracelets. Those things are so cool.
Yes, the kids love them.
So is that also something like this pendant could go in one of those?
No, we make a specific mechanism that fits inside.
Got it.
But it also fits inside a silicon pendant case.
Okay, great.
Natty. So you can pop that out of there and put it into one of those. So
okay, great.
Those are interchangeable, but they are a bit gentler, because kids can with small body weight, small body mass, they can get a little bit overwhelmed by.
Yes.
These are quite strong, and they are stronger than our original pendants, because they're needed to be.
They're needed to be. Yeah. No, I noticed it when I put mine on. I was like, ooh, that's good. That's good. Does it matter which direction the coil spins in?
No, it doesn't.
No.
You're wearing
it almost. Oh, I didn't mean like this direction, but like actually, do you know what I mean? So you can see that coil is spinning out from
Yes,
somewhere.
Yeah.
We thought so originally. We thought was important, but it isn't for its function. It doesn't really make any difference, and that's why
Okay.
they can be reversible.
The only difference it makes is if you're going to do chakra balancing with them, which you can.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to make sure that it spins in the same direction as the chakra. So if you're placing it on a specific chakra, you have it spinning in the same direction as the chakra. I mean, that was another product that we thought about, doing a chakra balancing set. But quite honestly, we've just not been able to do everything that we wanted to do because it's only us, you know.
No, you got to pick a couple. Usually the people have one thing, or like, you know, they always tell you in a business to niche down and really set your sights on what it is. I mean, you guys are a niche business, but it's, you know, I think hone in on your 2 or 3 products to just take it the distance.
But well, we've got loads of products and we're just increasing, but thankfully people cotton on to this, don't they? And we get orders that people have one of everything, you know. They really, people that are really aware of what's going on for them. And they so our problem is really that we just keep introducing new products, and it can get overwhelming at times, and these pop up and it's like,
I know, the idea fairy takes you away, don't they? My coach is like, Freddie, she's like, I coach people one-on-one. You know, I take them through 3 to 6 month programs, really diet, energetics, EMF mitigation, water, do structured water for them, mindset work, a mindset practice, some type of a functional movement. And it's a lot of work. You get 10 people coaching, you know, 10 different programs. It's overwhelming. And you can imagine, I get people calling me, they're so sick. I mean, just so like, you know, and they're just overwhelmed by everything. And it's a lot of hand holding. So I'm trying to decide if I can build the knowledge base into a program, and then I touch base 1 or 2 times as opposed to every 2 weeks. It's just a lot of man hours and a lot of energy. It's really tough. I love it. You know, and I see the results. I see people with, like, I have a cop yesterday. I had a guy lose like 89 pounds last week, bedridden with anxiety, no more medications, nothing. He didn't do anything except for all those free. Everything was free. Getting outside, feet in the dirt, paleo, fasting, clean, structured. I mean, water is everything. It just makes all the difference in the world. And clean water is really, really difficult in these municipalities. Everything's been through a treatment plant and it's lost its electronic charge. You know, run it over rocks and rivers with minerals in it, and that water has a negative charge. If it's sat in a tank for a year and that's been fluorinated, it's literally poison to the body. So people underestimate that power.
But it's hard for you if you're around, and we too, around needy people because they're needy.
I don't see now. I run people through a hardcore screen when they work, and I tell them, I'm like, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is how you speak about your body, the work, the challenge. There are no problems. Like, there's no problems. I was like, I had stage 3 cancer and Lyme disease, so we're not going to talk about how hard things. I got you beat. Everything. You're gonna like come at it with like a full heart, and I don't care if you're crying. Trust me, they're gonna be good healing homeopathic tears. It's good. It's gonna be good. But I try to set them up right off the base for what it's gonna be, and then if I find that consistent, because it's really easy to be attached to that victim mentality, and people know nothing else besides that sick identity. So if I see that pattern, I say we're going to take a little break. But for the most part, it's, you know, I have a good success record. And then, you know, like the things like recently, you know, just like autoimmune is skyrocketing here.
Yeah.
It's just skyrocketing, and it's until I started coaching people along with the AMP coil, it was like taking I can do what I would do in a year and a half in 3 months with people. I can make that because it does the heavy lifting, and then like you said, the responsibility of like, if you have a rapid healing, well, you got sick because of your life behavior and your choices. People really need to step up to the plate and take responsibility and do that work, of why are you here in the first place? And that's kind of the balance I'm sort of finding.
Yeah. Tough love.
Exactly. Do you guys ever travel to the States?
I've been
not a lot.
Not a lot. I was a diving instructor in the Bahamas one time, and then I ended up. So I was working with Americans all the time, and we went. I traveled with the crew up to New York. That was some time ago, but I mean, not recently, other than to go to LA airport, which it's not somewhere I'd.
I know. I work with Mario. I try to help him out as much as I can, and he lives in downtown LA. And I tell him, I'm like, it's not what you bring in, it's where you are. I'm like, I keep telling him, like, you got to move, man. It's just, because he's struggling. He's in that place. But I was like, LA is not your city for being a restorative, getting around trees, redwoods. I'm like, you need hardcore nature. I keep trying to tell him to move, but his job is there, which it's tough.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, and I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you guys do. I'm not sure it matters what device you have if you're going to live in that 5G. I don't know. Well, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, our technology will mitigate it. I mean, the people that I talked to you about in Melbourne had some of our devices, and it obviously wasn't enough. But we sent them a whole lot more, which effectively increases the strength of the field. So you put more together. We're making our devices stronger, which increases that field strength. But also, if you put many together, that increases the field strength.
Right.
And it was enough to mitigate it so that they could live comfortably. But they were looking to that. But I mean, our stance is that we should stop it. That collectively. I mean, why do we allow these people just to put these towers, on our streets? It's like this victim mentality again. It's like, they know, the government knows best, or all we need to do is to stand together. Wake up. First of all, we need to wake up. Let's face it, a lot of people are still fast asleep.
The zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. But the people are waking up, and if we got together, there's I don't know if you come across this group called In Power. They are going at the problem from the legal perspective, and I don't understand. My brain doesn't work this way, but they have a legal mechanism to make the CEOs of the cell phone companies liable. So if somebody gets sick because of their cell phone towers,
beautiful,
they're liable. And they've got a whole lot of CEOs to resign. They've even got the politicians, the telecommunications ministers to resign because they've been made liable. And they've gone after these smart meters, and also they're going after 5G. So it's called In 5G. They've got a I mean, we've been promoting them and basically telling people that you need to wake up and stop this. It will if we don't, it will be genocide, because I mean we reach so many people. I mean, there is a limited number of people that are going to look at our technology and think, well, that's a solution to this problem. but a vast majority, certainly at the moment, are either not aware of the problem or would not look towards solutions such as ours. So they're just going to be effectively cannon fodder.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, it's going to be. It needs an awakening.
It needs an awakening, and it's like, well, okay, we can help people. We can make devices to help people, but it would be irresponsible for us to just feed off the aware people and provide solutions for them without trying to encourage people, you know, and get involved into stopping this stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the process that we're going through, and it's all interrelated. It's like taking back the power for our own health. We need to take back our power generally. We've given, you know, it's like, oh, the government's going to sort us out, or you know, and that you can see that's happening. I mean, the whole. You look what's happening in France and Europe with this old yellow jacket, which is basically Occupy Movement 2.0. I see. You know, it's the youth that have seem to be coming in with this awareness that the system that they're living in is not good for anybody other than the people that are running it.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, I'm kind of yelling it from the rooftops and letting people know how important, you know, where it intersects. And again, to change the conversation. So when you sit down at Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, that it's not a head turner when you say EMF pollution or bioenergetics or biofeedback or PEMF, that it's just, these are options that we have to think outside of the box.
Yeah,
and I think it's just the more people we can get just really talking about it and giving it the validity that it needs.
Yeah.
But it's a great, you guys are, it's a great thing you're doing, and I'm glad you didn't just call the Ghostbusters when you had that first experience, because I think I would have been out. I mean, you tell the story, you're even reading it, I was like, oh man, that sounds dark.
It was like unreal, really. I mean, we digging up these, they just created like a pit. Where we were living was a pit with just bodies thrown in.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is not the way, as you know, that because they're Muslims in the area that we were living in, and they bury them in a certain way facing Mecca and everything. Yeah. But these bodies were just thrown into this pit, and we were digging up these bones. And at first we thought they were animal bones, and then when a human skull came out,
human skull was pretty definitive. Yeah,
it was like, and of course I
got goosebumps.
The Africans in the area knew.
They knew.
That's how we got that piece of land.
This was a beautiful piece of land. The ocean framed by palm trees, you know, golden sand. You know, it's like, well, why is nobody living here?
Nobody touch it.
Because they wouldn't go anywhere near it. So these stupid white people come along. You know, it's like, oh, here's an opportunity.
Oh my God. What do you think that's about? I mean, that ability for, you know, it's someone passes, you know, where does it makes my mind spin where it links into quantum physics, because I'm very aware of this idea that, like, there's more space. We're more space than we are anything solid, right? Like the energy between the electrons, it's like infinite power in between that space.
Yeah.
And the fact that like two electrons can touch on this side of the globe, and then if they separate by universes, they're still completely related. It's like there's no time in between them.
Yeah.
Where does that fit in when someone is wrongfully, they meet their passing, and I wonder how that energy is locked there and stuck and stagnated. It so blows my mind, because that's real. You know, we've all been in those places that are like, something's not right here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I think it varies. I mean, that energy will be trapped within those bones to a certain degree. Everything has a vibration, and a lot of things can hold, that chaotic energy to them. So it could be just within the bones, or when you get the ghost stories is when the departed entity is attached to that incarnation, and maybe to those events that brought about their end, that locks them in place. And then you have a real ghost story. But I think it was just the history of that place was just so dark that it just affected, it was just that energy was just locked into the place.
And the whole area actually was very dark. The village,
yeah,
wasn't it?
A lot of witch doctors,
Yeah,
negative witch doctors were attracted to that area, doing all kinds of black magic.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was a very quite isolated. We were 17 kilometers from a road, so it was a very isolated place, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You guys are probably happy to get out eventually, right?
Yes, but I mean, we found the solution to that problem. But yeah, it was. There's a whole other story there, but
yeah,
there's a whole other story. The Africa is. I mean, I would recommend anybody go and visit Kenya. It's a beautiful country. But
it's a source of life. I mean, it's where life began, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't recommend anybody go and do business there. I mean, they are very good with corruption. They've mastered it. They know.
Yeah.
So we were there with integrity. We were trying to give people a really beautiful day and connect them with these beautiful animals that the dolphins that were there, which I mean I've always felt are really special beings.
Very, very. My boss who was one of the founders of Amcoil, they were just in Australia, and they went on a surfing experience with he said it was him and one of the Owen brothers, very famous surfers, brother and sister team, and he said they were sitting there surfing, and all of a sudden there's just a pod of dolphins surfing with them. And he goes, if you've ever felt the vibration of like a perfect animal, he's like, it's a dolphin. He's like, you can't believe the vibration coming off these beings, like almost like an alien life form.
Yeah, well, I believe they are effectively.
Something, right?
I certainly think they're further up the evolutionary scale than we are generally, but I mean that's what we were doing. We were trying to offer this experience with integrity, but I mean it all the competing boat trips were paying bigger back. We weren't involved in it at all, but they were paying backhanders to the tour companies, and as a result they were getting all the business. So
we did okay.
We did okay. But it was a struggle.
Yeah, but we'd gone in there completely green and naive and
well, we do that as human beings, and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and we thought we were just going to fit in, and it was going to be, but sadly, in the places where the white man had not been great, that we were accepted. But unfortunately, in places around tourism and things like that, where the Africans had been shown a different way, taught a different way, then we were an opportunity.
Sure.
And so you thought you were making friends, but you weren't.
It's
had an imbalance.
A lot of different layers. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we both will look at somebody, the brown, black, whatever religion, doesn't matter. We will look at them as a fellow human being, but that's the way we wanted to relate to the Africans. But the Africans were relating to us as A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them was
No,
just.
we met some beautiful.
There were some beautiful people that we met, but as an opportunity, we were effectively walking wallets. So
Yes.
so that was a bit hard.
And we were different. I mean, looking back now, we were different. And we had got more money. I mean, we spent 2 years living in a hut with no water, no
oh my goodness,
toilet, no electricity, nothing.
We didn't have an EMF problem because we had no electricity.
You were grounding your fair share of electrons.
Yeah, we're living on mud floors. So,
and we thought that they would identify with us as being, we were living the same as them, but we weren't really. We were fooling ourselves in a way because we had got a vehicle and we had got a bit of money behind us, and we were different.
Steep learning curve.
Yeah, it was, but I mean, it was just a wonderful experience. Looking back at the time.
Looking back,
when we were at the airport and we were going, oh, thank goodness we got away.
You made it. Yeah, you made it. You made it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, listen. I'll when I have this all edited, I will send you a copy of what I have with my mic, because the mic you hear will be a little different. Because right now you're getting my computer mic. I'm pushing this through a compressor, so the sound on this side will be really good. But I'll just have my editor. I'll just say without my show intro or outro, I'll send you interview proper of ours laid over each other if you want. Just for an audio.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
You've sorted out all the.
Well, no, we haven't really talked about the details. So we our web system affiliate system will allow us to create a custom code for you that's linked. Yeah. But I mean, we're happy to give your listeners up to like 15%. But I mean, what do you normally do?
I mean, I've only done this a few times. I have like 2 other things. It's really, really whatever you want. You can give 5%, 10%, whatever makes you guys feel good. Well, I hope to get a lot of people reaching out and moving and acting on this. I mean, I have a lot of good listeners.
Well, let's say we'll make a 10% code.
Okay.
Yeah, if you give out that code, nobody else will have that code. That code will be intrinsically linked to your affiliate. So if they go and share it with their brother, sister, friend, whatever, then it's going to come back to you. So it's not relying on them coming to your website and clicking on your affiliate link. So
great.
So I love it. Yeah, because otherwise, I mean, I've mentioned
it's hard to track.
Yeah. It's hard to track. I mean, I've said, the name of our website, in our conversations, all they have to do is to tap it on it, and they're there, and you've been left out of the equation. But if you make sure that they know that they're going to get 10% by using this code, then that locks them in, and that gives you.
No, I'll do that. Yeah, we could do Beautifully Broken if you want.
Okay, if that's what you want.
That's easy.
Okay.
That or Freddie Set Go.
Okay.
Let's do Beautifully Broken.
Beautifully Broken. Okay. So I'll set that up all small. Well, I'll email you and confirm that when I've done it. But so that'll be set up within probably today, and then you can just share it wherever.
Great. I'm excited about it, and I'll do some little video cuts too, and I'll cut down some social media 1-minute lengths of the interview, and we'll make some nice stuff. And then it's sometime if you guys want to talk about anything in the future, or you have a passion project that's coming up, let me know, and we can do another one whenever you need.
Sounds great.
And I'll give you guys a really nice testimonial.
All right, that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
That'd be wonderful.
Great for us.
I love this thing. It's great.
I
bought a lot of crap. Believe me, I've got $100,000 worth of stuff here. I got ozone machines, infrared saunas, and biomats, and a lot of it's okay.
Yeah.
But this is cool. I really like this. It's beautiful. And I love that there's a coil in it. That speaks to, I actually, you know what? I would love to we have 6 people on our team at Amp Coil answering phones and on the computer, talking people. And, it's talking to people that are sick. So it's very taxing for them. But I would like to have them all get one. I think that's in the cards. I think it would be really good for the people on the phone just to not take on so much of that energy.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. Because that's one thing it will do. It will isolate you from other people's negative stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna mention it to the owner. He's so electrosensitive, and he's always looking for an amulet. He's like, let me know if you ever. I've got 4 of them. They don't do anything. I mean, I just, for a second you're like, is it working? And I'm like, I'm not sure. But this one's really good. And I think the other thing I was thinking we might be able to do is we're having a big summit in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that owns a device, there's 2,000 people coming. But we're going to have a tent with massage guns. We're going to do a red light tent. We should definitely have I think we should have a big box of these on hand, or, we can talk about numbers or how we would make that work. But I think it might be nice to have these there for all these people that are all autoimmune people to have an option when they're not with their coil, where they can have something to be protected.
Mm.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, we open to all of that. I mean, it's our, we're driven to get this technology to where it's needed. So whatever we can do, whatever deals we can do, and share financial rewards for that process, then
that's how we've always worked, really. We've had to rely on other people. We've wanted to, and it's what goes around comes around. So somebody helps us and they share in what we're doing, and it's been a beautiful way of doing business, really, because business is not the priority for us. I mean, when you were saying about EMF, it would be great for me. It would be great if we didn't sell anything that protected against EMF, because there wouldn't be any.
Right.
That our products went back to what we originally started out with, that they were healing tools. That would, for me, is just this is just going to balance you and heal you, and there's no EMF problem in the world.
Yeah.
That's where I would.
That's not going to happen. We got to fight. We got to fight ahead of us.
Yeah. But
in the best way.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're producing EMF products, then and it's a business, you'd want to hold on to that, and it's the more EMF the better. But for me, it's no, let's get rid of it completely.
Yeah, let's make people feel good. We can start there. We'll start with a handful of people.
Well, this is maybe a little bit left field, but I don't know if you heard of a guy called Cliff High.
Mm-mm.
He's got this website called Half Past Human, and what he's done, basically, his premise is that we're all basically psychic, and that what he's got some software that searches the internet for our conversations, and he basically says that we put into our language. The future, as we're perceiving it, is leaking through to the present through our language, and he's got these formulas to sort of pick it out. And what he says is coming. He says that 5G is going to be really problematic, not only because of the health, but because it's going to interfere with other devices and basically be untenable. So he says that 5G will collapse. And he says what is going to come in its place is quantum entanglement. They're going to use quantum entanglement to connect devices together. And of course, the principles of quantum entanglement. You can take one up to Mars and be talking down.
Instantly.
Down. In fact, the Chinese are already using this technology in their satellites. They've got transmitters on a satellite, they've got a ground station, they've got quantum entanglement going on. It's basically unhackable. There's nothing you can do to hack that. So the technology is coming. And once once that explodes, then he says that also you've got this communication being able to go on without the problem of the EMF.
Yeah.
So there is tech. I'm an optimist.
Yeah, me too. I always say that too. Like, we have a horrible, embarrassing president right now, but in many ways, like, we needed like a monster to be like, oh my God, what are we doing? Like, people have got to, you've got to, you're like, oh, this is the worst thing that could ever happen. And I'm like, no, this is exactly what needed to happen. It's like, you have a house with termites, you got to rip off the wall and be like, this is a mess.
Yeah.
We got to fix it. You got to strip it down to the walls. So yeah, I think that's a great way to think about it, is that it's just, it's pushing us to the limit where it's really going to hurt. And then we're going to make a change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as you know about healing, the real healing process involves detox, as the shit comes out. So there's going to be some shit, I would say.
Yeah. Amen to that. Guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, lovely talking to you, Freddie.
Lovely talking to you. You're an awesome guest. I can't wait to have you on again.
You take care.
You take care.
Okay.
Speak soon.
Have a great. Speak soon. Bye-bye.